And without further ado, it's time to start eavesdropping, motherfuckers. Damn, that song cranks.
Shit, right.
Welcome to episode 5. I see you eavesdropping. It's me, Rich.
Corey over here as usual.
Trey, number 3 of the bros.
What's up with you fellas today?
Not much, man. I'm chilling. I'm full. Had some good drinks.
Had a ton of food, good drinks.
Man, it's
A lot of fucking protein.
a lot of fucking protein, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm on the diet. So actually today we're gonna start with that. So I decided to go off the reserve a little bit, and we did something a little different. So we had some bison bacon wrapped meatballs for the appetizer. We had some sweet and sour as well as some traditional baked salmon, along with some sautéed spinach, and then we had some duck deviled eggs to go along with the drink of the episode.
Which is?
Today, it was the Bloody Rose Old Fashioned, which consisted of, and you know what, let me pause right there. I say if you all haven't caught on by now, if you've listened to the previous episodes, you would know this. We old fashioned drinkers because we like to get to the point.
Oh yeah.
But the Bloody Rose Old Fashioned consists of about a teaspoon of brown sugar at the bottom of the glass, with half a slice of muddled blood orange, and of course the 4 Rose single barrel bourbon straight out of Kentucky, where all the best bourbons come from, of course. Solid block of ice and some brown sugar half and half, made at home, of course, made in house, of course, made with some Florida oranges actually infused as well, and some orange bitters. It's about 1 ounce of bourbon, but of course we're trying to get to the point, so I did 1.5 ounces every time. About 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, and actually I topped the last few off with a little bit of 151 if you're feeling adventurous, but
a little bit, yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that for the faint of heart. You better make sure your liver's in check first. But that was the drink of the episode. But of course, for presentation, we hit it with a little dry ice to make it spectacular.
How different is this from the Dynasty Old Fashioned?
It's both not very different, but at the same time, vastly. And the reason why I say vastly is because I always flame the Dynasty Old Fashioned, which caramelizes the sugar at the bottom of the glass and kind of makes it slightly more syrupy. And of course, it's made with a Japanese whiskey. I prefer to go to Hibiki. Been through several bottles of that. And Hibiki just has a completely different taste. It doesn't matter if you're going with the Harmony, the 12, or whatever year you're going with. But the Japanese whiskey is what really sets it off. That's the reason for it being the Dynasty Old Fashioned. I would actually be interested in trying that Dynasty with the blood orange, because the blood orange tastes a little different. But overall, too, the Dynasty gets the cherry, and the blood rose does not. So it's both vastly different, yet somewhat similar. Both.
And for our first time listeners, the Dynasty Old Fashioned is Corey's trademark drink.
Oh, that's the trademark right there, man.
That's where he takes wherever he goes, the interviews and all that shit in the parties.
That's it. That's what people want to see. That's what people want to experience. That's what people want to taste. And it's a winner. It's a winner. But I think this one's going to rise pretty high on the list. This is it's pretty good.
And pretty strong. So what you fellas do this week? How was your week?
Oh, man.
Gym.
I'm about to say it's been a lot of gym. Everybody knows what's been going on with my week.
5 a.m. cardio.
In fact, I think a lot of my week gonna play out in this episode, actually. But I think it's been a good week overall, man. I think I had a chance to come back from a trip, get up with the bros, And of course, you know, you end the week the same way, so that's pretty good. I think it's been a while since we had all three of us together.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's a good way to end the week, regardless how the week went.
My week was productive, similar. No 5 a.m. cardio for me, but work. I do my cardio at night.
We have to show up with no cameras at 11 a.m. So
all in all, it was a good week. I haven't seen my boys in about a week, but we touch bases pretty much every day. You know, everything good.
Great.
how about you, Rich? I see you are carrying some new luggage over here, man. What's up with that?
Oh man, I just got a new camera. Like I've been playing around with this thing all week, more than my own Johnson. So that's a lot. But this is having a good time getting some photos and shit. So we'll see where we go with that. And you can find us all on Instagram.
Oh, of course, you know we got where you at, Rich?
I'm Soul Addicted. IMSOLEADDICTED. Spelled that right, yeah.
I think you spelled it right. Of course, you know I keep it. I'm simple, so you know it's C.E.Purdue. My government name is what my mama gave me. But yeah, you can catch me there. And the homie right here, where they can catch you at, man?
This is Trey. You can catch me at Who Gonna Say Something. We flipped a little bit, so the spelling's not what you think. It's WHOGONSAYSUMTHIN. Who Gonna Say Something?
You had to bring the phone out to spell check that thing.
Hell yeah, man. I know how to spell that bitch.
Hey, you know what though?
Blame it on the 151. Blame it on the
I think that handle brings up an interesting question that actually I've been meaning to address before we even get into that. I mean,
oh shit.
Who is gonna say something? You know, we 5 episodes in this episode. For those that have listened or have heard the previous episodes, I mean, we would love to hear some feedback on both what you think, both what you all might want to hear about. What you feeling? We want to know what that's like. Who gonna say something?
Yeah.
Who gonna say something?
Exactly.
We're all for a good conversation, so
That's what this is all about. So yeah, I want to throw that out there, you know, while it's fresh on my mind. What's the episode today, Rich, man? What we getting into?
today should be an interesting one. It's about insecurity. So we're going to talk about how insecurity kind of manifests in men and women, professionally, personally, you know, in any walks of life, how it can hinder and, you know, aid you in success. You know, so let's start with the niggas.
Right to it.
Let's go right for the jugular. Well, let's get into it, man. There's a couple of things I personally want to address with that, and that is, one, it's just my personal opinion, but that's what we do here anyway. I feel like men both try to cover their insecurities and avoid them. And the reason I say that is men are prideful. So it seems like they try to take their insecurities and mask it behind, I won't say masculinity, but behind their strengths, I guess you could say. Me personally, like, I don't recall being so much insecure about myself growing up as much as like my capabilities. And I say that from the perspective of I got an older brother and an older sister. So going into a lot of positions in life, like I was following behind them, so the ground was kind of laid, so people kind of knew at least about me, and I hung out with a lot of their friends. So like I never got to that point where I felt like I was influenced in school so much or influenced by peer pressure just because all my brothers and sisters' friends were my friends. But being sure of your capabilities, and this will probably come back up when we're talking about work, manifested in me as far as like you find yourself asking yourself in certain situations like, am I smart enough to do this? Do I have the capabilities to be able to do this? And do I believe in myself enough actually to be able to do it? Because oftentimes what you'll find is that people have more faith in you than you might have in yourself. They might see some capabilities in you that you don't see in yourself. And sometimes you may or may not feel deserving. I mean, it really comes down to how sure you are of your capabilities. I didn't really get to the point where I realized what I was capable of till later in life. Before then, I was always worried about disappointing those who put me in the position to do stuff in the first place, especially in working and career, because a lot of that comes down to who you know just as much as it comes down to what you know. Regardless of what you know, it might take somebody else to actually see something in you to get you to the point where you're actually in the position to do so. And a lot of times I was put in positions ahead of the time that I felt like I should be there, which in retrospect is fine. I wouldn't be where I am today had they not seen that in me and put me there. But at the same time, it causes insecurities to manifest because you have a natural fear of failure, I guess. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll pass it to the bros to see a couple others.
So you picked an interesting starting point to talk about this. So you're talking about insecurity in a family concept. So and that could work out a couple ways. So do you think, when you think about insecurity, there's insecurity that comes along with being one of a couple siblings or also being an only child? You know, when you have brothers and sisters, you could be insecure because you don't feel like you have enough attention to flourish and, you know, have that confidence that you are worth someone focusing on. You know, conversely, when you're an only child, you can be insecure because you don't have that frame of reference or anyone to compare yourself to. And you're along, like, when it comes to, you know, engaging with other people and getting along with them, it can be a little tricky to navigate those waters. So I think there's insecurity that comes. There is a certain level of insecurity that comes along with both, and you're just trying to figure out your best way out to, you know, find who you are. We're all looking for our place, you know, in the world, in our relationships, and I think it all starts with the family because that's our first exposure to other people. And, you know, that's also being force-fed. We're being force-fed, you know, force-fed engagement, force-fed, you know, affection, even if it's not totally authentic, because there is that idea that blood is thicker than water. You know, you're born and your family's going to look out for you regardless. And you kind of fall into that way of thinking from a young age because that's all you know, and you don't think anyone's going to lead you wrong. Until you get older, then you start realizing that we're all human, we're all different people, and there is no automatic affection for anyone that you come around, you know, short of your own children that you work to create, you know.
Well, I like to touch on what Corey said. I actually didn't really learn about insecurities until later in life. As far as like growing up in my childhood, by a single mother, she instilled like just confidence in us at an early age. I really didn't know I had insecurities until I moved up north, and I started living around other people who had, I guess in a sense, more than me. I didn't know I had less than them because, again, my mother made sure we had it all. And I was so fucking confident, and I'm still confident to this day. People probably perceive that as arrogant or cocky. But like I said, my mother instilled that in us at an early age. Myself, my two sisters, and my brother. But I say that to say this: as I try to move forward in my adult life, in my professional life, that's when, you know, I started questioning myself and my capabilities. Not saying that I didn't believe in myself. It was like Corey said, I just didn't have guidance or anybody to point me in the right direction to say you can do this, you can see that, or do that. I come from a place where there's a lot of segregation and poverty. So basically, a product of my environment. Not saying that that's an excuse, but if that's all you know, that's all you know. So if you're in that box, you've never been outside that box. That's all you know. That's all you're gonna stick to. You're gonna stick into your comfort zone. You all right? Like we all are. So again, I didn't know I had insecurities until I started venturing off into the professional world and hanging out with people who were educated and who's experienced more than I have. But then I met certain people like Corey and Rich and, you know, older people, mentorship, and started reading about self-development and stuff. And that's when I started to pinpoint and try to make a lot of changes. So right now, I don't feel like we all have insecurities, but I'm still the same confident motherfucker I was from day one. But I got that education, I got the skill set, I got the mentors. I surround myself around